WoW has the problem that it does is that WoW babies players and it says you have to do nothing. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, if you are doing 0 DPS, yes? You guys, normal is a joke? No, it's not. No, it's not. How many, like, I have people that are like former cutting edge raiders telling me that normal is easy. Of course it's easy for you. You're the 1%. Here, let me paint you a picture and give you an idea of what the raiding experience is like, what the progression experience and difficulty experience for WoW is like, okay? Now, I think this will hopefully let people understand this, and then I want to talk about the Reddit stuff, and we're going to go from there, okay? Let's see here. Difficulty. C-U-L-T-Y, difficulty, and then we're going to have content, okay? Content. Okay, so you have, so let's say you hit level, this is leveling, right here, and then you hit, leveling, this is 60, and this is, like, what's the first thing that you do after 60 or leveling? Yeah, what would you say that, what's the first thing that you do? A dungeon? Like, yeah, like heroic or normal, no dungeons. Yeah, heroic dungeons. Sure. Let's see here. And besides that, chores. Yeah, also like world content. How about Zereth Mortis, right? You'd probably do that afterwards because that's where you get all the free gear. That's where players are getting pushed around. And so, let's see. Now then maybe you do LFR, right? And so what do you do after LFR? Well, you're probably going to go and you're going to do normal mode. Here is the problem with the difficulty curve in WoW. That's the problem. Is that the amount of people and the amount of requirements that you need to do, you immediately go from being invited regardless of what spec you play, regardless of how much damage you do. You are automatically assigned into a group. You don't need to compromise with anyone. You don't need to be good at anything in the game. You can get completely carried through all of this content. It is brain dead zombie content that requires no effort, no skill, no investment whatsoever. Then you go into normal mode, and normal mode is a mode that's being run by people who have played the same game for 15 years, and they know exactly how to play. They have very high expectations, and a player that's been trained to not care about those things because they've never been challenged at all in the entire process of playing the game, they hit that normal mode wall and they can't do it because they're so much worse because the game has trained them to be bad at it. Do you understand kind of how this happens? Do you see what that, like, yes, obviously, like, there's a lot of people, oh, it's not, it's so easy, it's so easy, it's so easy. I'm not talking to you. I am talking to somebody who started playing the game 6 months ago. I am talking to somebody who started playing the game 2 years ago. And there are people out there, I want to make this very clear. There are a lot of people out there who, these guys, they understand it. They started playing a few months ago. They're already doing heroic. They're already trying to get into a mythic guild. Yes, it is absolutely true that you can do that if you are extremely invested and you are very good at the game. But there is the norm experience. That's what I'm really saying. This is the norm experience of what's happening, right? People on normal are asking for mythic saves. Yeah. We've trained them wrong purposefully as a joke. Listen, if you take an LFR raider and you put them in a normal mode group, you're going to have a bad fucking time, man. Because LFR is designed to be an automatic success. It literally is programmed for you to win because it gives you more stats every single time you lose. And then you immediately go into normal mode. There's nothing that trains you at all to be good at the game. That's what it is. You're massively overrating how hard normal is, dude. Even terrible casuals can clear normal. Do you think terrible casual players? So, like, what would you guys say? All right. So let me give you a good example of this, right? Of how many people that queue into LFR or any of this content here, how many people experience a failure state? What I mean is, like, you do the run and it's not successful. How many? I would say like maybe 5 to 10% of LFR raids are not successful. Probably less than that. I'd say like maybe 3 or 1%, almost, if you just stick around long enough. How many normal mode raids are not successful? I can think of one that I did that wasn't successful. Obviously, that was on the first day, and it was on Alliance, and it was a clown raid. So obviously, that's not the best example. But I would say most normal raids are not successful. And that's what I'm really saying. People have self-responsibility. So just remove every self-responsibility to improve and spoon-feed people so they understand harder content. Spoon-feed people so they understand harder content. That is exactly what I'm telling you. That is exactly what I think that they should do. 100%. Because I think this game, I think WoW, trains players to be bad and lazy. Exactly. And you have games like this is something that I criticize Lost Ark for. Is because in Lost Ark, you go through almost the entire fucking game and you don't have to know what a stagger check is. You don't have to know what what destruction is on like different parts of like, you know, the scorpion, for example. You don't have to know a lot of these things. You've got no fucking idea. And that's what I think that the issue is that, and counter is another one. How the fuck are you supposed to know what counter is? Because counter never really mattered. Messy Oats, thank you very much for the 10 gifted community subs. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So what I'm saying is that Lost Ark also does a terrible job at teaching players end-game mechanics. And I think that for another example is like Final Fantasy does do a relatively decent job. Now, obviously, I think that Final Fantasy... I think that WoW does the worst job, Lost Ark does a little bit better, and Final Fantasy does it better than Lost Ark does. Like, if I had to say... Because like Final Fantasy, even in the hard mode versions of these fights, you can die. You can fucking training room and all that. Nobody plays tutorials. Nobody goes into the training room to learn their mechanics. Like, and I can easily prove. Do you want me to log on to Lost Ark right now and queue up into Virtus or one of the other bosses that has a stagger or a counter and then watch how many people don't do it? Nobody ever does it. Like, whenever I did Frost Helgia, and this is one of the ones I would run all the time, right? Back whenever I was in Tier 2. Every single time that I ran it, I never had a single person stay in with me to help break the stagger check in the first part of the fight. Not a single person ever helped me break the stagger check. And the reason for that is because the game doesn't teach it to you. You cannot expect players to do a tutorial. You can't. People want to get in and immediately get into the game. Now, the best type of tutorial is the tutorial that people have in Dark Souls or something like that, where you start off easy and you have like Dark Souls. Think of like the Undead Asylum. The Undead Asylum is the pinnacle of a tutorial. It teaches you how to pick up weapons. It teaches you how to fight NPCs. It gives you the basics of your ability. It automatically teaches you. It's like it has a little message right before you get to the boss. Hey, if you do a drop attack, it'll make it easier. And if you're a bad player, you're a new player to Dark Souls, you probably die on the Asylum Demon the first time if you don't do that. Like, and it's not because you're bad. It's because you're new. You don't really know what to do. You don't know how to predict things. It's a new experience for you. So you make mistakes. Forced tutorials are the best. Stop the action and force people to read what to do. No, because they'll just click through it. No, they'll just click through it. They'll immediately click through it and they'll think that it has no purpose and no validity. Like, that's what they'll do. Like, you have to teach it organically through the mechanics. Like, let me think of some other examples of, like, really, really good examples of this that work incredibly well. Let me think. Trial by Fire, Sekiro. I mean, Sekiro, I think, does do a really good job at it with, like, the Mariki counter, right? Or the Mikiri, whatever it's called, right? Because you literally fight a guy, and all he does is try to stab you. That's all he does. And it's like, hey, by the way, you just got this thing where you can step on the pole. Why don't you step on the pole? And then you don't do it, and you die. And that's the way it goes, right? Genichiro, yeah. And you get to those different points in the game where you get to that level. And that's what I think is really, yeah, Classic Mario is a perfect example of teaching players game mechanics, yes. And a good game does not need a tutorial. That's what I think. I think a good game, actually, let me rephrase that. A good game does not need an explicit tutorial. Like, for example, I think like Dark Souls is clearly a good game. I think Undead Asylum is clearly a tutorial, but it is also a good tutorial because it sets the stage for the game, and this is just the beginning of the game. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? Yeah, if you need an actual tutorial, like a training grounds or something like that to make people understand the game, you've already lost. You've already lost. People are not going to understand it. And it's like you do have players like, well, they should understand it. If they don't, then, it is what it is. Well, that's what's going to happen. Did you see a WoW Systems tier list? Oh, that's so good. That's a great idea. Maybe I should do that. That's really smart. I never heard that at all. What? A good game definitely needs a tutorial? Really? Really? So, like, Dark Souls needed a tutorial? Let's see. Super Mario needed a tutorial. Sonic needed a tutorial. Let's see. How many other good games don't need a tutorial? Lost Ark doesn't really need a tutorial, at least until the end game, right? I mean, I think Final Fantasy doesn't really have much of a tutorial either. They've got the training grounds at the very beginning, and the reason why the training grounds in A Realm Reborn is good is because, and here's why the training grounds in A Realm Reborn works in a way that other tutorials don't work. Because it gives you really good fucking gear. That's the reason. Is because whenever you are in that point in A Realm Reborn, if you do the training grounds and you do that thing where you join the group and then you do Satasha, whatever the fuck it's called, you are getting really good fucking gear and you are totally ready. And it's a massive upgrade, so you're excited about that. And you get experience. Yes, Andrew with the 5 gifted community subs. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, oh yeah, and you get the experience boost ring. I forgot about that. Yes, you're right about that too. So, what I think that the game should have, as much as possible, is they should have bosses that at the very beginning that you need to have. Like, if I were to redesign Lost Ark or make Lost Ark more interesting, I would change the way that staggers and counters work on bosses. Like, I would have bosses in, let's say, the early level dungeons that would stop moving and stop doing anything and take way less damage and turn blue. And that way it would teach the player, hey, this is a counter, and if a monster turns blue, you want to hit the monster whenever this counter happens. You see what I'm saying? They do that? Yeah, but it's not long enough. And that's what it is. Yeah, that would completely, I would not say it's completely solved the problem, but like it would increase the amount of people that understand what a counter is. Every class had a counter? Yes, that would be helpful. Yeah, and like just have that for like a boss or two, and that way people understand it. It should say counter or something like that. I think in the leveling dungeons, it should say counter. I think that in max level dungeons, of course, it should not say counter. It's obvious. It takes away the immersion by saying counter. But yeah, I think that for the other ones, it absolutely could. Yeah, training grounds give rewards. Almost every boss in the game has a tooltip that pops up with mechanics. Yeah, people just click that off the screen because they're in the middle of a boss fight. What do you think? People are going to, like, stop doing the boss fight and, like, look down? Oh, wait, let me read how this works? No, they're in the middle of the fight. Like, it's just, again, people just, I feel like they don't get how people play games. They just, like, they don't see it in the same way that I do. Like, I don't think that I'm wrong, guys. I actually don't think so at all. Yeah, can't even read? Yeah. Like, and I feel like the reason why I know that I'm right about this is that I have done pugs. And everybody here is like, oh no, they're pro gamers. Bro. Like, people are fucking garbage. They have no idea about everything about it, okay? You think games, like game designer does? Well, it's not really about being a game designer or whatever. It's just about psychology and common sense, man. And like in the middle of the screen during the beginning boss fight, there should be a message in the middle of the screen that says, this is your chance, use your counter skill or something like that. Yeah, I think so. And things like that would be good. And also just having like a quest that teaches you how to counter or something like that too. There's a lot of ways to teach players mechanics that don't require them to go to. I think that if your solution to the problem is go to the training grounds, you're wrong. Like that's a non-starter for most players, because most players don't want to start training. They want to play. They just want to play. Very retarded take, very wrong take. Then explain why nobody counters. Then explain why nobody staggers. Why isn't? It's because they won't do it. It's just, that's all there is to it. Like, and if you compare, having player competency is not something that's impossible to do. And the reason why I say that is that in Final Fantasy, every single time somebody gets like an arrow on their head and there's like all the collapsing arrows, people know, oh, I'm going to group up with that person, right? Or whenever they get a debuff or something like that, certain debuffs have certain indicators like vulnerability. Player competency in Final Fantasy is, in my opinion, higher than it is in Lost Ark. Why is that? It's because Final Fantasy does a better job teaching players the mechanics. That's why. That's what I'm trying to say. And so they still run. Some do, yeah, you're right. But if you compare that to Lost Ark, like 10% run. Well, 10% don't in Lost Ark. That's what I'm saying here, yeah. All the other ones are running around. And so that's the way I feel. Counters only work on the boss in the front. Most of us stand behind the boss. Yeah, but there's also another reason, like, people don't even know what the counter is in the first place. Yeah, they don't even know what that is in the first place. THD said the same thing about Final Fantasy players and WoW players. Yeah, exactly. Good players counter. There's just a lot of non-skilled players. You could teach people a million times to counter and they still won't because they're bad. And how do you transition a bad player into a good player? How does a game encourage and transition a player from a bad player to a good player? The way that they do that is by creating mechanics in the game that reward good players for good play, and they punish bad players for bad play. And the fact is that, you teach them from the beginning, you provide rewards for it, and you make it simple and obvious. And you also make it a natural part of the game rather than something that can be ignored. You see what I'm saying? Bad stay bad, let's be honest. No. Everybody starts bad. If there's anybody who's good, then it indicates that the bad do not stay bad. I think that there's a lot of people out there who just stay bad because they're not taught anything. They don't know what they're doing. And then basically, this is what happens, is that the bad player is just, look at me, I'm just walking in a field. Ooh, wow, look at this. Oh, a free piece of loot. Oh my God, I knew I was the best. Ooh, yeah, I'm so good. And Blizzard's like, yes, you are. You're a good boy. Ooh, you're a good boy. Keep it up. And then they're going through level 60. They're like, I'm the max level. Oh my God, I'm saving the covenants. Yes, dude. I'm the hero. I'm the Maw Walker. Wow, look at this. And then I do a heroic dungeon. It's like, damn, dude. I queued up and this guy just did all the damage. I didn't do anything. And I died. I don't even know why I died. But I got carried. It is what it is. Oh, Zareth Mortis. That's crazy. Look at this world boss. Oh my God. Somebody else is tanking it and it does no AoE abilities. Wow. It's a target dummy. I hit it once. Oh, a piece of gear? Oh my God. Look at this. Look at this. This is even better than the Sharpie. It does so much more damage. Wow, it's fire enchanted. Oh my God, I'm so good at this game. I'm gonna go do LFR. I do LFR. Oh, I've got to actually go AFK. I come back, the boss is dead. I got another piece of gear. God, I'm so good at this game. Look at this. And then they immediately hit normal mode and they say, guys, I'm really good at this game. I've done all this content. And they're like, do you know what an interrupt is? And they're like, you mean like whenever you're talking and then I start talking? And then they get kicked. You see? Because you put people up against a wall where they never have to be good. They never have to try. They never have to put in effort. And they hit that wall, and guess what that guy does? Does that guy go, oh, well, you know what? I really have been, very relaxed in my playthrough, and to be honest, now that I look back on my time spent investing into the game, I never actually did learn how to play the game, and the truth is that I should actually look up third-party resources, and I should look at third-party websites and talk to high-end players and try to investigate these problems myself so I can improve at the game. They're not going to think that. They're going to think, man, that guy's an asshole. This game's full of assholes. Nobody wants to play with me. This sucks. I quit. That's what happens. That's what happens. Yep. And that is the problem. The Power Pass forces tutorial, that's cute. The Power Pass implies you've already played the game. So what's the point of that? Yeah, and so that's the way I look at it. It's fair to be honest. It's fair to be honest, the game sets them up for failure. Yes, the game, what I'm saying is that the game sets you up to fail. It sets you up to fail, and then other players punish you for failing, and then you have a bad social experience and you quit. And you can skip the Power Pass tutorial, but it rewards you for doing it. Okay, yeah, whatever. I just had a monkey in tier 3 Abyss with level 1 engravings. Hey, he probably had level 1 Grudge, level 1 Cursed Doll, and level 1 Enhanced Shields. Yeah, that's probably what it was. No, I understand this very well. And you have to max get Tower Pass though? Yeah, exactly. And it's not true. Majority quit because of the honing system. You think the majority of the player base quit because of the honing system? I mean, I was talking about WoW, not number 1. With Lost Ark, I feel like that's just clearly it's like not. I don't think that's true. The reason why I don't think that's true. Let's actually look at. Is there a good website to tell me what Steam, like how many, like what the percentage of players who have actually completed certain achievements is? Because I've heard that some of these are inaccurate, like these achievements here. Yeah, is there a way that I can look this up? Because I want to see kind of what this breakdown really is. Yeah, is there any way that I can look this up and get it? They're unreliable? Yeah, it is bugged. I don't know, man. Like, that's what I'm kind of... The Lost Ark achievements are bugged. What I'm saying is that I think that most players don't even get far enough into the game to even worry about the honing changes in the first place. I think that a lot of players forget to remember that a lot of us that are playing these games we are the engaged 20% of the player base, the engaged 10% of the player base. Most players who are not engaged with like social media about the game don't even get to the point where the honing system is a problem. They don't even get there. And like half of the people that do get there have already been conditioned by phone games to pay money in the first place, so it doesn't even bother them. You see what I'm saying?